Live from New York. It's a show that doesn't totally understand what you're talking about, Aaron Rodgers. It's first things first today. We start with Broncos country. Let's take it in stride. I tried. I went to the rhyming dictionary and everything. Russell Wilson benched to avoid injury, so the Broncos wouldn't owe him even more money. It looks like his release, which would cost the Broncos, and brace yourself, $85 million, is a foregone conclusion. Nick, you predicted this for months, even when Russ was okay, and Brew and I were trying to get you to mmove off the take. Started off slow, 1-5, had 12 touchdowns. You're still throwing some touchdowns. Then week 7 through 12, 5-0. He had 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then 1-3, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. A loss to Bailey Zappi and the Patriots.
Wild.
And it's looking.
He's so pleased.
I'm not listening. No, it's got nothing to do with us. Thank you, Wildes. That's the real headline. One of the most classic of the category 2 opinions.
Everyone.
Eventually, right. And people might wonder, you know, Nick, how'd you know? And it's very simple. Watch the games.
Okay, see, I knew it.
He never was playing well. You know how I knew? I watched the games. He was cooked near the end of his time in Seattle. You know how I knew? I watched the games. Sean Payton never liked him. You know how I knew? I watched the press conferences. He was going to get cut at the end of the season. You know how I knew? I read Spot Rack. It's all out there for you. It's all available. The games are on TV. The press conferences are there. The contracts are public. And we all could see it if you would open your eyes to it. Unfortunately, and this hurts my heart, despite the fact that I am here to tell you guys and try to, on things like this, educate you guys for the better part of 2 years about Russell Wilson, it has been a point of contention. So, my dear friends, on a day that could be a first things first, you know, somewhat victory lap, it's just my victory lap and your guys' collective embarrassment.
What did
I do? And you are a flip-flopper, but you are more on that side. And now I have to bring, you know I don't like to do this.
Is there a banner?
No, there is a clip from before the year even started, and I would ask people, I know it's going to be hard, when we're playing this clip, pay less attention to the wisdom I am spitting and more attention to Brew's facial expressions, please. Run the clip if you would. Listen, Brew made a big whole thing when he lost the Baker Mayfield-Kyle Trask argument that, well, by week 8, it's going to be Trask. I'm telling you this much right now. I think there's a good chance Baker is the starting quarterback longer than Russ is.
Baker is the starting quarterback longer than Russ is.
Look at Bruce. Look at his face. The shock, the awe. And we sit here today,
you know what?
And Baker Mayfield has a Player of the Week award, is about to clinch a playoff spot, and Russ. Oh, no. Look over your shoulder, Wildes. That's not right. I don't know who built that. That's not right. That's too
not
much.
Even an editorial
and so,
use.
Brew, I don't think we should be that surprised by it. What? What's the
I'm happy today.
He's going to say.
Because look, you mentioned the social media clips that people are watching. One thing that has come out from them, I am a team player.
That's true.
And Nick, you know I always say you're very smart and stuff.
Thanks, buddy.
But you needed a W.
Okay.
You needed a W. It's been a rough few weeks.
I had Purdy.
I needed Purdy's. One bad game does not ruin Brock Purdy's season. You needed a W. This is a W for you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take it here. And Russ will appreciate. I don't think he'll appreciate it, but he'll understand it because he's a man of faith. This is what comes to my mind when I look at Russell Wilson. Proverbs 16:18.
Wow.
Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. When did this all start? When did Russ's demise begin? When a few years ago, when he started when it was let Russ cook. All right, he was in a place where whatever shortcomings he had as a quarterback were hidden. He had a good defense, great defense early in his career, good defense in Seattle, run game, and a coach that, you know, like I said, hid his flaws. And they were winning every year, making the playoffs and making the Pro Bowl. He was making the Pro Bowl every year. And he started with the let Russ cook. He started with the I want to be an MVP.
Yeah.
He started with the I want to be like Tom Brady. Remember all that stuff?
Patrick Mahomes sitting with Goodell in the box watching the Brady-Mahomes Super Bowl.
He forgot what and who he was.
That's right.
And then the trade rumors start and the he wants out and the list of teams he'll go to. And now look at this. He could have stayed in Seattle and he probably would have avoided a lot of blame. Even if his play began to decrease, he would have probably avoided blame because he had led them to their only Super Bowl and all of that.
That's a great point.
And they would have hidden. Carroll was good at hiding a lot of this. And now, I mean, the interesting thing to me, too, is where I could only think of 3 teams that might want him next year. Okay. Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh, the Raiders, or Atlanta if they don't get like Justin Fields. Like, other than that, where else is he going?
New England, maybe.
No, but we're going to take a quarterback.
You might not be able to. I mean, you honestly, you say that, but you might not be able to.
Yeah, I guess so.
And so I think New England's a possibility, especially if Belichick does stay and they can't take a quarterback. There's not a lot. Here's the other part of it. Obviously, when everyone heard the news, the first thing they thought of was me being correct. But the second thing is, we are in the midst of the golden era of horrific NFL trades, transactions, contract extensions. I would argue that 3 of the worst trades in modern NFL history have happened in the last 18 months. And they all involve quarterbacks. And so one of them would be, and I know this is going to sound harsh, but the Carolina Panthers trading for what will end up being Caleb Williams draft rights and multiple other first or second rounders for Bryce Young. The Cleveland Browns trading 3 firsts and a guaranteed contract for Deshaun Watson. And the Denver Broncos, who traded 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 3 players for Russell Wilson, and then gave him a contract extension that has not started yet. They paid 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 3 players, and $124 million of cash for 2 years of Russell Wilson. And context on the dead money, Wildes.
One bad year.
As of this moment, the biggest dead money hit in NFL history is Matt Ryan's $40.5 million, Aaron Rodgers' $40.3 million. Russell Wilson's dead money for the Broncos is going to be more than those 2 combined. It's $85 million over the next 2 years. So it'll probably split up 50 and 35. So next year, one of the biggest cap hits in all of sports, or in all of the NFL, will be the Russell Wilson cap hit for the Broncos to not play for them. And the following year, a top 10 cap hit in the NFL will be the Russell Wilson contract to not play for them.
I'd throw the Trey Lance trade in there, too.
Right,
the
Niners, 3 picks, giving up 3 picks, it's a disaster.
I know we make fun of the Chiefs. That's not fair. I know we criticize. Nope. Where am I going to go with? I know that we hold the Chiefs to a high standard.
Yeah.
How about that?
Sure.
But the Chiefs just hold in the fort and let everybody else fall apart. The Chargers fired their coach, quarterback injured. Yeah. Raiders switched QBs, fired their coach. Broncos now have Peyton, are getting rid of it.
And those teams splurged in
but
free
why would the Chiefs do? You mean the Chiefs should have done something like this year?
No, I'm saying the Chiefs can are winning the AFC West
every year
just by doing nothing.
Well,
each team is on a reset.
That's what happens when you got the greatest
Chargers reset, Raiders resetting, and the Broncos they're all resetting.
Also, let me just show one other thing. I think you're right. And the Chiefs also, you mentioned those. Those other teams also made massive splashy free agent deals. Not just the quarterback stuff, but whether trading for Devontae, all the players the Chargers signed, the Broncos, all of that, and the Chiefs just kind of held steady. But can we show the quarterbacks, healthy quarterbacks who are benched this year? You're going to see, aside from Desmond Ridder, there's a theme here. That's Wildes guys, Bruise guy, Wildes guy. Desmond Ridder, Bruise guy.
Hold on, Ritter's kind of young guy.
What do you mean? Why?
You picked them to win the division.
I think you did as well, Drew.
No, I picked New Orleans.
You just have it in the playoffs. No, and Ritter's not my guy.
In the playoffs.
But so can we hold on? We're missing someone from this graphic. I don't know if we can show it. Oh, notably not on there, Baker Mayfield. So my apologies. Bench quarterback. Two of your guys.
Let him come back. What? He needed.
Let him cook.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Team play.
Notably not on there.
This has boosted morale in the clubhouse. Nick was prancing around today. He was excited.
Yeah, a little rough. Brew, must win?
Well, spiritually speaking, yes. You know, and that's what a must-win is on this show, right? It's not they're going to make the playoffs. We all know that. But they need this game. Because when did the doubts really begin about Philly? I mean, people, they were looking at it. They're winning close games. The gauntlet. The gauntlet.
Yep.
And we all said, okay, we're going to find out what Philly's made of. And they beat, Kansas City, Buffalo. They won 3 straight good games. And then the middle and end of the gauntlet, they lost 3 straight. And it was now everybody's questioning them. We said the same thing about the Cowboys. We're going to find out what they're made of. We're going to see if Dak is a real MVP. Yeah. And early on, it looked good in the gauntlet. Now we're in that gauntlet. They've lost their last 2. And if they win this game, which they should, we'll be able to say, hey, they played 2 really good teams on the road.
True.
And yeah, they got to deal with the road stuff, but still. They're
the Miami game is a coin flip game.
Yeah, it was a good game. Yep. It was a close game. But if they lose this game, there's no excuse. Like what the only explanation, it won't be they can't win on the road against good teams. It will be they're not that good. They're a good team. They're better than they're not a great team. They will be 3-5 against teams that are currently in the playoffs if they lose to the Lions.
Yep.
And that's not good enough, and you can't feel great going into the playoffs like that.
And I think you're in trouble if you lose 3 straight at any point in the year. Now, if the Cowboys lose this game, that's going to eliminate all the top NFC contenders. Because the Niners did it, the Eagles did it, the Cowboys would have done it. But one of the things the Cowboys had to hang their hats on was over the last 3 years, they don't lose back-to-back. Well, now they have. If all of a sudden you go for 2+ years of not losing back-to-back to then losing back-to-back, I think you're in real trouble. I also think from a non-emotional perspective, from the more technical perspective, you can argue this is a must-win because I think the division is still available to them. It is very simple. If Dallas goes 2-0 and Philly goes 1-1, Dallas wins the division. And if the road troubles are real, which they appear to be at least to a degree, maybe I think you guys have slightly overstated them, but I'm not going to act like they are the exact same team at home as on the road. Then the difference between being the damn 2 seed and the 5 seed is massive.
Yeah. Being
the 2 seed, you have a real chance of never having to go on the road. If San Francisco hiccups in their first playoff game, it goes through AT&T Stadium. And so I think Philly is, and we'll talk more about them later, I understand, but absolutely ripe for the picking in their next 2. And I think that the game at the Giants got tougher with Tyrod Taylor now playing. I also think Arizona, which scored damn near 30 on San Francisco's defense and got blown out, could absolutely score a bunch of points on Philly's defense. So from a must-win perspective of, if I'm right, let me put it like this, if I'm right and the Eagles do lose one of these games, and the Cowboys don't win the division because they lost to Detroit at home,
but Detroit is a great is too strong. But why are we just assuming?
Because the Cowboys have been great at home.
Okay.
The Cowboys need the game. Detroit just won the division. Detroit is not locked where they are. Technically, they could even be the one, but they need San Francisco to fall off in a way we don't expect and Philly to lose. So I think that if the Cowboys, after losing back-to-back games, can't win a home game against the Lions, yes, Detroit's a good team. You know who they're going to face in the playoffs? Good teams. And so, yeah, I think it's a must-win on all accounts.
Okay. I actually, quick double must-win. I'll say for the Lions. And I know not technically, but for who are they? I mean, they go out there, and this is a game where there's now, again, people starting to expect something from you, that usually they lose those games. You go out here and beat Dallas, in Dallas, where they won 14 straight, now people are really believing.
But I
don't believe in the Lions. Do you believe in the Lions?
I don't think they're gonna
a chance to get to the Super Bowl?
I think their only chance is if all their games are indoors. And right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Dallas, turns out. Indoors. Brew, Cowboys Are they still an SBob team? That means Super Bowl or bust if you're just tuning in.
First, let me address his quote, and I'm having technical difficulties.
Yeah. No,
Did we hear the part where he said, as far as preparing this team to go and win a football game, we're in as good a shape?
Yeah.
He did say that. Okay, because that's the key. Because you're right. You look at we're in as good a shape as any. Yeah, okay. They haven't gotten to the NFC title game in 3 decades, so I guess you could say that.
Sure.
But that's him tipping his cap, maybe saying take a bow to Mike McCarthy, right? Because he's saying he believes in our coaching staff to prepare us. Now, you can disagree with that, but I just think that's the context of what he's saying. SBob, absolutely. SBob, absolutely. And I feel I said this in the preseason, and you youngsters scoffed at me because you really don't understand the full gravity of the Dallas Cowboys and in relation to America and the NFL. You don't. And I feel even stronger about that today because, 1, they are a very good team.
Sure.
2, who is the world beater out there? And I get it, San Francisco looks great, but I keep hearing they don't have a quarterback now.
That's right.
All right, so you say they don't have a quarterback.
Yes, agreed.
Philadelphia now looks vulnerable.
Yeah.
So why in the world not? No, let me finish. Why not Dallas?
Yeah.
Why? This is the year.
This is
more than ever, they should be as Super Bowl or bust and not feel satisfied with getting to the NFC title game. And I'm telling you, Nick, hold on. The Yankees, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Cowboys, when they have a good team, are always SBob, LaBob, or WSBob.
Okay.
World Series or bust.
But you
WSBob.
WSBob, it would be.
Wasabi.
There you go. There you
But
go. Okay.
they are Super Bowl or bust.
Okay, here's the thing. If we're going to do
You kept wanting to interrupt. You kept.
Well, because Brew doesn't have his earpiece because Hub said we only had 30 seconds. So I was trying to just say this. No, it's true. Your earpiece isn't working. So I just want to get this straight, Brew. So Dallas, because you think they're going to be the 5 seed, because Philly's not going to lose. So Dallas goes to Tampa and wins.
Yeah.
And then goes to I'm laying out a scenario.
Right.
Goes to San Francisco and beats them.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in the NFC Championship game, goes to Philadelphia and loses a heartbreaker. That is all of a sudden a bust of a year.
Yes.
No, it is. There
is no. If they beat San Francisco and lose to Philadelphia,
and they get to their first conference championship game in 28
how would
years,
they feel? Of course, they've been an attaboy in 2 months.
Yeah.
But they will not be. No way.
Well, then they're an S-Bots team.
Way.
It's Super Bowl or temporary sadness. It is. We are disappointed about how the year ended. But there is no bus.
You're trying to play on the bus, literally.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Kansas City.
No.
Definite S-Bob team.
Yes.
Right?
No, they fell down. They're no longer S-Bob.
Yeah, no, they are. Go ahead. If they don't get to it,
what's going to happen?
Matt Nagy will be fired.
Matt, so what?
Well,
who cares? I mean, Matt Nagy?
Okay, well, you asked
he's
what?
An OC.
You asked what? And I'm saying if the Cowboys make the conference championship game, someone's getting promoted.
About him.
That's what's happening. Dan Quinn will get a head coaching job out of it.
That is not a bust.
Okay.
San Francisco, what's happening if they don't get to the Super Bowl?
They're S-Bob.
Quarterback controversy.
Darnold or Purdy?
Yeah, exactly right. Young Montana.
New OC in Kansas City? Maybe. New OC's the old OC?
Nick, I can't believe you had that done months ago.
No,
just so you could go. But again, I'm glad. It's good for morale.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.